Okay, so it is Monday, President's Day, and we have the day off of school, and I just wanted to take you guys with me as I plan out for next week. Now, I already have a general outline of what I want to do with my 7th and 8th graders, but I just want to kind of flush out those plans with you guys so that I'm all planned for the week, and so you guys can see what I do in order to lesson plan. Now, this lesson plan is, this is the Life Planner, the 2019 Life Planner from the Lettered Classroom. I prefer the Life Planner over the specific teacher planner that she has because it just works better for me and my setup, but you can use the teacher planner or whatever works best for you. With this, I'm also on the Apple. It's the 11-inch Apple iPad Pro. I have the Apple Pencil as well that clicks into the side and everything. So that's kind of the technology I'm working with. I'm also working in GoodNotes right now. I'm not sure if you can get the Life Planner from the Lettered Classroom for anything other than GoodNotes. I would think so. I think you can use it with GoodNotes and Notability and any other plan out there that uses PDF files because it's just a PDF file. So as you scroll through, you can see my goals and everything like that. There's the task tracker. What I specifically want to go to though is February because this is in the month of February. We currently have no school because it's the February 18th. And you can see my general outline with my plans. So how I plan is on A days, we have split schedules, so I see my kids every other day. On A days, I obviously see my A-day kids. On B days, I see a different group of kids. But how I like to plan and keep it straight is because I have 2 preps, I just keep those 2 preps on those separate days. So my A day is always my 7th graders. My B day is always my 8th graders. So that's how I keep it straight in my head. I have all of these things highlighted, like on this B day on February 14th, my 8th graders had a quiz on the 13th on A day. My 7th graders had a project due as well. Kind of planned poorly there and everything, but whatever, it's fine. I just have a ton of grading right now. Now, with the 19th, tomorrow being a B day, I am already planned for that day because I taught the exact same thing on A day on February 15th. So if we go to February 15th plans, this is exactly what I did with my 7th graders. They had 4 verbs, which was a little bit weird, but they didn't have verbs the day before. They were finishing project presentations. I was introducing ER/IR verbs, and we did a vocabulary intro, and they had homework as well. Now, what my school specifically does, they have these what, why, how questions. And the what stands for what are we learning today? The why is why are we learning this? And the how is how do I know that I've been successful? This has been a new initiative that my administration has implemented, and it's always for the benefit of the kids. Research has shown that this is beneficial to the kids and having that buy-in with their education, which we all know is extremely important, that if the kids have a buy-in with it, if they know why they are learning it and why it's important, then they will be more invested in their learning. So I'm going to come over to this side. I need to add those in this side. Now, the reason why I didn't have them filled out for last week is because it's not required yet by my district to be using them, but I always have them in my planner to have it there for me as a reminder as well that I should be implementing it into my classroom. I am going to make it a goal for myself this week to implement that so that I'm ready for the March deadline, I believe, is when we need to have those in by, or when we need to be physically telling the kids, having them being said to the kids each day, whereas now we just need to have them written on our boards. So obviously with the 8th grade, I have 2 verbs each day that they need to do on the board. This is kind of their warm-up activity. So montar en patineta is one of their verbs, and then recordar is another one of their verbs that they are going to need to conjugate on the board. I pass back their quizzes. We start with ordinal numbers, and I have a Senor Woolley song with that. There's Dar and Poner reading that we are doing, and that actually got changed up last week. That Dar and Poner reading was their homework, and I did not do, we're on the shape tool. That was actually their homework, and they did not get their study guides last class, but that is okay. So I am just going to change that up in here. So we have the Dar and Poner reading. And then I can just erase that from my plans up here. And then we are currently doing a TV ad with the 8th graders as well. This is where they are being able to create an advertisement for any sport, any activity, any extracurricular activity at our school, and their job is to convince others in the class that they need to join this activity. So we're working on that presentational persuasion skills in Spanish. So for my 8th graders, what are they learning today? They are learning ordinal numbers. They're learning ordinal numbers, and they are using Chapter 7 vocab in context with that TV ad. And then why is it important? It is important because we need to be able to communicate effectively. I'm having so many issues with writing. We need to be able to communicate effectively in the target language. And then how do we know that we are successful? We are using Chapter 7 vocab and grammar together in the TV ad. All right. So now so that's 8th grade. That's just going to be a repeat basically of what I did on Friday. Now with 7th grade, this is going to be a new day. I have each of my days lined up here at the top. B day, 8th grade, A day, 7th grade, B day, 8th grade, A day, 7th grade. I also have a student IEP meeting during my plan at 10 o'clock tomorrow, so I got to make sure I remember that. The 7th grade verbs are leer and vivir. So again, we're practicing ER verbs and IR verb conjugations. We're going to go over their homework, which was just a simple plug and chug activity with ER verbs and IR verbs. And then we're going to get into PQA. PQA just stands for personalized question and answer. So with that personalized question and answer, I ask them questions using, specifically with this unit, ER verbs and IR verbs so that they can practice conjugating those verbs in context with questions that actually apply to them. So we're going to be doing PQA. With PQA, I just have a PowerPoint presentation on the board, and I'm able to project all of the questions that we have for the students just onto the board so that they can see. So they're getting the visual and then they're getting the auditory with me actually asking them the questions. Then we're going to start a story. So with stories, I always do stories so that they're able to get a ton of repetition with the vocabulary, because I know as 7th and 8th graders, they are not going to be going home every single day and studying their vocab like they should be, but I need to be doing what I need to do as a teacher in order to help all my students be successful. So how I do that is I do stories and have tons of repetition, tons of questions throughout the stories as well, in order to get across the restaurant vocab and the just their vocab with the chapter and their specific grammar things as well. Or grammar points as well. So with this story, it's going to be a story in a restaurant, and it's going to be in a restaurant with a waiter with attitude. So with these stories, I have written these stories along with my partner teacher, and we both act out these stories. These are definitely very high energy days, and we have student actors as well that come and perform and everything like that as a volunteer basis and everything too, just to keep the kids involved and everything. The students have choice in the names of the actors and the where specifically they go and everything like that, just to keep their buy-in in there. So with the restaurant vocab, so the story is going to concentrate on ER-IR verbs. And then we do have to do something with tele en les presento, because it's on the test. It doesn't super fit very well with the story, but I have to do, as a middle school teacher, I have to do what the high school wants me to teach as well. So it's finding that happy balance in there. For their tarea, or for their homework, I am going to just have my kids work on Quizlet, which is just an online flashcard system. I do pay the extra so that I can see if my students are studying or not. We had a day at the beginning of the year that we set everything up so that they were able to log in and everything like that. So I am able to check and see and make sure that my kids are working on Quizlet. So for the what are we learning, we are working on the conjugation of ER and IR verbs, and also restaurant vocab with the story. And then why are we learning this? We need to be able to order food in a Spanish, Mexican, Bolivian, Guatemalan, whatever, Spanish speaking restaurant. And then how do we know we are successful? We successfully conjugate ER and IR verbs with the homework and in the PQA activity, and we can understand the story. All right. And then you guys are seeing this bottom section here. Now, this is where I do a lot of my reflecting after I teach. If there's something specifically that I didn't get to with a class, I'll write that down here in this lined area. If there's something I changed up in the middle of my teaching because I noticed that an activity wasn't being successful, then I write my little notes down here to myself for the next time I go to teach it. Now I come up here for B day. So this is going to be on Wednesday, Thursday that I'll be teaching this lesson to my 8th graders because I have that split schedule. So with the 8th grade, we are working on weather vocab. So nevad and llover are our 2 verbs of the day that they need to conjugate. We are going to finish the TV ad and we are going to present it. And with those TV ads, it shouldn't take too awful long because the TV ad should only be about 30 seconds, 45 seconds or so. It shouldn't be too awful intense. And then we are going to review requirements for our writing section. And then we're going to work on it. And then the homework is going to be to finish our practice writing section. All right. And then for them, what we are learning, we're going to be learning how to be successful on our writing section of the exam. So their writing section is going to be next week as well as their speaking section. And then they'll take a multiple choice version of the exam a week after that as well. So we're kind of splitting it up and everything, but if you live in the Midwest, you know that we had the polar vortex happen and that kind of messed up some of the plans and everything like that because there's a day in March as well that we have no school and I didn't want to have an exam after the kids had no school a certain day. And yeah, it was just a big mess. So this is the plan that we have come up with in order to have the kids be successful and set them up for success for that. So then why are we doing this? We are doing it to be able to communicate, communicate effectively with persuasion and everything like that, and with written ideas. All right, and then how we are going to be using, or how will I know I've been successful? Use. I will be, how will I know I've been successful? Use Chapter 7 vocab and grammar together in the writing section. All right. And then last day, so this day is a day, so this will these plans will carry on to next week as well. So with the 7th grade, their verbs we determined are going to be saber and hacer. We're going to have some PQA again because PQA just helps with the repetition. We're going to finish our story. So we're going to have story day 2. And I found if you're doing stories in class, I found that the shorter the stories, especially for 7th graders, the shorter the stories, the more likely they are not to get bored with the repetition. So I try to keep it at about a day or so, so 50 minutes-ish in length to be able to finish a story. And that way I'm able to split it up between 2 days. I'm able to have that PQA in there all the time. And I'm just able to balance it better with that and keep their attention because Lord knows we need to keep 7th graders' attention so their minds don't wander. And then we are going to be starting skits as well. So with skits, they are going to be in groups and they're going to be kind of recreating the story and putting their own spin on it as well. So they have that practice with the presentational skills too. So we have homework as well this day, and the kids are going to get the PQA questions that we've been asking in class. They're going to need to be able to write out their responses. So the PQA question sheet is going to be their homework. And then down here, what am I doing? I am going to lasso this over here. Oh, that's going to take everything with it. I am going to be taking this over here, and the kids are learning the same thing, basically, just focusing more on those skills. So I don't want to make it more difficult for myself, especially when I already wrote it out. So I'm just going to copy and paste with the lasso tool. This is one of the reasons why I love planning with my iPad, because it just makes everything so easy and so much more neat too, I feel like, because especially with those polar vortex days, I was so happy I had this planner instead of my written out planner, so that I didn't have to keep erasing days, keep changing stuff, keep changing A and B day schedules and everything like that. And then how will the kids know they are successful? Today, they will know because they will successfully answer the PQA questions in written form. All right, so that's how I plan week by week. For Saturday and Sunday, I always just use that as little tasks that I need to do throughout the week. So I'll come over here. Oh, I'm trying to erase stuff. I'll come over here and I'll just write my to-do list up here at the top. And then I will be able to just go from there with what all I have to do this week. All right, so definitely if you have any questions for me, leave those in the comments down below, and I'll be more than happy to answer any of the questions for you with how I plan, anything about my iPad or anything like that. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions.